Hi, BC family. Welcome to your midweek devotion. So this week I was thinking about how a lot of times when you're going through something, people are praying for God to always get them out of a situation, right? Get them out of a difficult moment. Get me out of this. But sometimes in order to get out, we need to invite God in. And that's what I want to talk about today. Sometimes the miracle is what God is doing in the situation. When we invite God in, he comes in and gives us his favor, despite what the situation looks like. He comes in and gives us strength that you can't explain. When we invite God in, we're saying, I trust that you're ordering my steps. I trust that no matter what it looks like and feels like, I'm in the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right things. When we invite God in to our hard moments and our storms, we're saying, don't just change the circumstances, change me in this moment. And that right there is a big difference between going through something and growing through something. So when we make that decision to instead say, God, get me out of this, to say, God, come into this with me, then we're inviting God in and it's shifting our focus from the pain to the promises. And that's an important key as well. When we're going through a storm or hard season, pain is a part of that process, right? But that pain that is hurting us, that pain that's causing us to grieve and is a part of us, we want God to save us from that. But it can also be something that helps us. I'm going to give some examples. So you can't grow without stretching. My son goes through growing pains. My daughter never did. My son does. And he'll cry at night and say his legs hurt him. And then we'll sit down and have this conversation about why are we feeling this pain? Because you're getting taller. You're getting bigger. We're shifting his focus from the pain to the outcome, the promise, what's to come. What are we enduring this for? Because something great is on its way, right? You can't get stronger without building more stamina. You can't birth something without enduring labor. But the difference in the pain is the focus you give it. When we're begging God to get us out of something, we have our focus on the pain and the hardship, right? When we're saying, God, just get me out of this now, our focus is on everything we're enduring in the moment. But when we invite God into our storms and our seasons, we're then turning our focus onto him and his promises and what he's doing in us and what he's doing through us. Hebrews 12:2 says, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith, for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Jesus was about to go through the most agonizing, pain-filled death possible, right? It's going to be a season full of pain. But he never gave the pain his entire focus. At every verse, you don't see him going, deliver me now. Don't let me go through this. God, get me out of this. He doesn't do that all the time. He didn't give pain his full focus. It says it was the joy set before him. That was his focus. He knew what he was going to go through. He knew pain was coming, but his focus was us. We were the joy that were set before him. We're the joy. He was knowingly going to go through that, but he was focused on the outcome, the promise, what was going to happen at the end. I loved what Charlotte Gamble said one time. She said, Jesus taught us in his most painful hours that pain has a voice, but it does not get all the lines. And I really liked that quote, and I had written it down. Because pain is there. Pain, we acknowledge pain. I mean, we grieve, we hurt, our hearts break, but we don't give it all the lines. Don't let pain have all the script. It can have its lines, but let the promise and the praise and the joy, that can have all the lines. You determine how much voice you give to that pain. A woman holding a newborn baby, she can focus on all the pain and all the labor and all the hardship, or she can tell her story from the perspective of joy, right? As the pain helped her bring forth what she has, and her focus can be on that baby. It comes down to choosing, what are you going to magnify? The pain or the prize, the hurt or the healing, the labor or the reward. What are you going to put your focus on and magnify? When we invite God in, we are then choosing to magnify his awesome favor at work in our lives. We are focused on the growing through the pain rather than I'm just surviving the pain. That's how you shift your focus. When we invite God in, that's how people can walk through something with a peace unimaginable and a joy unspeakable. I was just texting this last week with a group of women, and a lot of us are going through some major seasons and storms right now, filled with a lot of pain. But in the same text group, you saw people saying how other people, outside people, were coming up to them and saying, how are you so peaceful when you're going through all of this? How are you so joyful when all of this pain and hardship is happening to you? And it's because they invited God into the difficult moments so he can walk through it with them rather than asking him to just get him out of this. Last example I want to leave you with is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were about to be thrown into a fiery furnace. And what we don't hear in those verses is we don't hear them begging for their lives, crying out to God to save them. Throughout the story, you can see they constantly are acknowledging that God was with them. And that you can tell through their story, they had invited God into their moments. And so when they were tossed into the most painful storm of their lives, God didn't just deliver them. They didn't just poof, didn't go in, didn't happen. But he did show up and walk around the fire with them. So that's seen in Daniel 3:24-27. Then King Nebuchadnezzar jumped to his feet. He was very surprised, and he asked his advisors, we tied only 3 men, and we threw only 3 men into the fire. Is that right? And his advisors said, yes, king. And the king said, well, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire. They are not tied up and they are not burned. And the 4th man looks like an angel. Then Nebuchadnezzar went to the opening of the hot furnace and he shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come out. Servants of the Most High God, come here. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire. And when they came out, all these people, the governors and prefects and royal advisors, crowded around them. And they could see that the fire had not burned them. Their bodies were not burned at all. Their hair was not burned, and their robes were not burned. They didn't even smell as if they had been near fire. So God didn't deliver them from that moment, but he did walk through it with them until they walked out into their victory. When we invite God into our difficult moments and decide to focus on him and his promises rather than the pain, then God walks with us through our pain, and we're able to grow through the process with God. And when we do that, he's always there to ensure that no matter how difficult it may seem, when we put our trust in him and we shift our focus onto him, when we walk through it, then we're walking through with peace unimaginable and joy unspeakable, and we get to watch God's favor at every turn. And like the 3 brothers, we will be seen by everyone. Outside sources will see that we always come through victorious, nothing missing, nothing broken, and we won't even smell like smoke from the fire we just walked through. And that is why it's so important to invite God in to your difficult moments. So invite him in this week and shift your focus during the difficult moments, and you will come out victorious every time. Have a great week. Bye.